Welcome to the Fantasy News Guys podcast with your hosts, Bud and Bud.
Well, welcome everybody to our first ever Fantasy News Guys podcast. We have made the transition over from videos on YouTube and being on location through various other video sources to now entering the podcast realm. So it's an exciting day. We are pioneering through here our first podcast. And I am proud to say that today we will be featuring the Fantasy League Fantastico, known as the FLF, to its managers and some of its fans. Today we will be going over that league. It's going to be draft day coming up, so we're going to go through some of the things that are happening in the league, talk about what happened last year in the league, and go through a few other items, get you ready for the draft. I love the intro, the music. Thank you so much to Peg for always lending a hand here with her voice. As we get through our first podcast here, it might be a little bumpy, but that's the nature of being a pioneer, I guess. Now, you may think, where is Bud? I being Bud myself. Bud right now is in a contract holdout, so we are waiting to see if he will join the podcast. So the team Bud and Bud right now is just constituted by one Bud, if that makes any sense to you. So here we go. We are here to talk about the Fantasy League Fantastico. It is 2015, and we are entering year 8 of Fantasy League Fantastico. Amazing. We've had, obviously, 7 champions. In this past year, we crowned a new 2-time champion, Redonkulous. He was the inaugural champion of this league in its first year. And is that correct? Let me check my notes here. Scratch that. The first year was that incredible match between the Fire Spitting Jimmies and I Want Johnlin. And the I Want Johnlin team pulled it out. They were the inaugural champions of the league. Next year was the Redonkulous team that won it, and this past year they've won it again. So that gives us 2 champions who have won it twice. The Peaceful Warriors, of course, always up there in the top 3 or 4 teams, have won 2 titles along with the Redonkulous team. So congratulations to Redonkulous, who defeated a Yeti team, their first appearance in a final. They've been a really poor team over the years, but in the last couple, they've put it together, and they arrived at a final. A little controversy in that final. Apparently, the 2 owners decided to split the pot, making for probably our most underwhelming championship in the history of this league, but nevertheless, a champion was crowned. 2-time Redonkulous champion will be back this year. And that brings us to some just news on the league. All 12 teams will be returning this year. Of course, we saw the Mofos rejoin the league last year after taking a year off. They are back. We had a name change last year. Morningwood became Sergeant Hugo Stieglitz, and they will maintain that name this year in the league, and they are back. The Dances with Baby team, always a new name every year, hasn't announced their name yet, nor have they signed into the league yet. So there are still a few other teams that have yet to sign in. The Lunches for Wimps, of course, Dr. Dick, always kind of late to the party. And the final team not signed in there is the Mofos, though all of them have given their verbal commitments and will be there on draft day. A couple other things to touch on before we talk about this year's season. We did have a controversy in this league last year. playoff time rolled around, and one of the managers, the owner of Dances with Baby, decided to have four too many the night before, woke up and dropped his best player, Jamal Charles. Of course, that caused a major uproar as the can't cut option had not been enabled, so he was allowed to drop that player. And long story short, the commissioner came under real fire when he allowed that team to pick up the player once it had cleared the waiver period where no one was allowed to select the player and pick him up. Anyway, regardless, we are here. The can't cut list is now a rule. It will be in place. You won't be able to drop your best player, I believe maybe best two players on your team. That way there's no collusion, anything going on that's inappropriate in the league. So that is that. And we've got a couple of big changes to the league this year. The first is a smaller change. They did realign the divisions last year with more of a mob boss theme. The Capo division, I believe, was one of them. The Boss division, something or other. Either way, they've done away with those divisions this year. There was talk of going back to the original divisions, the East, West, and Central. But in the end, the commissioner of the league decided it was time to shake up the divisions one more time. And to be fair, he said, well, let's just draw them out of a hat and put everybody in the one of the three divisions. And those names for the new divisions are as follows. Division 1 is the Tenenbaum division. Division 2 is the Bottle Rocket division. And the third division will be the Darjeeling division. Of course, those names are all titles of Wes Anderson movies, some of our favorites here, at least here in Studio Fantasy News Guys, and I'm sure some of your favorites as well. Maybe not Darjeeling, but had its moments. Anyway, back to league news. So that's going to be happening actually periodically through this podcast. We will be drawing those teams and placing them randomly in these new divisions. The other big news is the waiver ads has a new change to it. You'll still be allowed only 3 additions a week, 3 ads of players a week. But the commissioner has added a FAB budget. And if you're not familiar with what a FAB budget is, it stands for a free agent acquisition budget. Each team will be allotted $100 in FAB money. That's FAAB. And over the course of the year, of the season, you will have that $100 to use to place bids on players that are on waivers. So, for instance, on Sunday morning when the kickoff begins, all the players go on waivers until Tuesday night at midnight. In the past, you would put a waiver claim in, and whatever your standing was in the league, if you were the worst team, you had the priority to get the best player. Well, that waiver rolling list will still be in place, but only if a tie occurs in a bid, which means, let's say a player is on waivers and I want that player on my team, so I make a bid for $10, and everybody else does 6 or 7, but one other manager does 10. We tie. Whoever's got the higher waiver priority would get that player, and would thus be deducted $10 from their FAB budget. So it should make for an interesting element to waiver claims and waiver ads. Once again, you'll have $100 of waiver money to use, free agent acquisition budget, and you can use it throughout the season as you please. Once you're out of 100, then you will no longer be able to claim a player off waivers. You'll have to wait till they all clear waivers, and then you can make your pickups of free agents. Those, of course, are fine to make. You can make up to 3 ads a week, and that includes the waiver claim. So hopefully that is clear as mud to you. Okay, now, so let's move on to the upcoming draft. Now, it's being held on Sunday at 5 o'clock, this coming Sunday, August 30th. And it'll be held here in San Francisco at the commissioner's office. Now, as always, Fantastico does things a little differently than a lot of leagues. In order to keep managers interested towards the tail end of the year, they determine the draft order based on how you finished. So in the case of a last place team, when in a lot of leagues they would maybe pick first, in Fantastico it's the opposite. If you finish last, you pick last. So with that being said, we'll go through those final standings from the 2014 season and let you know where you're picking if you haven't already checked that. First of all, of course, picking first is our champion, two-time champion Redonkulous, followed by Team Yeti picking second. That's uncharted territory for them. Hopefully they don't blow that pick. Picking at the third slot is Mason Keat Colby. They edged out the Peaceful Warriors in a 3-4 match last year. Again, 1, 2, 3, Redonkulous, Yeti, and Mason Keat Colby. Picking fourth are the Peaceful Warriors. In the 5 slot, rolling along there, are the Rollers, usually right there in the mix. Picking in the 6th spot are the Mofos. They made the playoff after a year absence in the league. A little controversy on draft day last year. They weren't there to draft their team, and they were picked a team for them. And it turned out to be a pretty darn good team. Mofos were a division winner, and they just couldn't quite get over the hump. Picking 7th this draft will be the Fire Spitting Jimmies, the FSJs picking 7th. And picking 8th, our final playoff team of last year, are the Dances with Baby team. Of course, we'll expect a new name from them, but as they stand now, they are the Dances with Baby. And that'll roll out your top 8. Now, when we get down into the next tier, these are the 4 teams that did make the playoffs. Okay, so we are at number 9. Picking in the 9 slot is Team Sergeant Hugo Stiglitz. Once again, didn't make the playoffs, though oddly enough, they thought they did. And on a text thread last year, I heard with some other of the managers, they were bragging about how they had made the playoffs, and they were sending videos from Inglorious Bastards with audio clips and whatnot. But turned out the other manager didn't know what he was talking about, because as normal, Team Sergeant Hugo Stiglitz, formerly the Morning Wood, was out of the playoffs and finished in 9th place. They will be picking 9th in this year's draft. At the 10 slot, Lunches for Wimps, another underwhelming season for them. They'll see if they can right the ship and get themselves into that top 8. Picking 11th was Dr. Dick, a historically horrible draft. It will go down in the annals of top 5 worst drafts in this particular league, and possibly leagues beyond that. And finally, the 12th place team, real down year for them. They've been in the playoffs before, but just couldn't quite get there. The Goods. So those are your teams. Redonkulous 1, Yeti 2, Mason Keat Colby 3, Peaceful Warriors 4, Rollers 5, Mofos 6, FSJs 7, Dances with Baby 8, Hugo Stiglitz 9, Lunches for Wimps 10, Dr. Dick 11, and at the 12 slot, the Goods, or as they are known by the Dances with Baby team, the Bads. Okay, so draft day, as always, like we said, will be held here at the commissioner's office, where we're actually doing the podcast today. We've set up our studio here, right, adjacent to the commissioner's office, so everything is at our right-hand fingertips. Draft day, as always, we will have a dial-in line for those who can attend physically. So there'll be a conference bridge there. We ask you to dial in probably 5 or so minutes prior to 5 o'clock. make some announcements there and probably get the draft going around 5:15. There'll also be, as always, an updated spreadsheet there, a Google Doc that you'll be able to log into and follow along if you're not here to see the big board. And I think last year there was a record time for the Fantasy League Fantastico. It was, I believe, under an hour and a half. The draft was done. So we'll keep a good pace this year, give everyone enough time to make a good selection, and everything should go well. So keep mock drafting and keep updating your rankings and be ready for draft day on Sunday. That should do it for news and draft news and new rules for the league. Last order of business here before we wrap up our maiden voyage podcast is we're going to pick these teams at random for the new divisions. Of course, our 3 divisions are the Tenenbaums, the Bottle Rocket, and the Darjeeling division. So I'm going to pull one out of the hopper here, and it's going to go into the Tenenbaum division, and it is Team Hugo Stiglitz. So Hugo Stiglitz is now in the Tenenbaum division, along with Team Dances with Baby. Okay, so Dances with Baby will be in the Tenenbaum division. The third team of the Tenenbaum division will be the Yeti. So we've got the brothers reuniting, the Myhan brothers, who are owners of the Yeti and the Hugo team, will be back in the division together. And wrapping up that division, we will have the Mofos. So not a strong division, but should be an interesting rivalry there between a couple of those teams. Next division is the Bottle Rocket division, and the first team in that one is the Goods. The Goods will be in the Bottle Rocket division, along with the Fire Spitting Jimmies. So again, the East of old has the Goods and the Fire Spitting Jimmies involved. We will shake up the hopper here and pull another at random, and it is LI4W, the Lunches for Wimps team, is in the Bottle Rocket division. And finally, we have Dr. Dick. So, as we've seen in the past, the West, formerly known as with Redonkulous, Peaceful Warriors, and Mason Keith Colby, remains. And it is now called the Darjeeling division. And rounding out that Darjeeling division will be Team... Excuse me, let me pull that last one out here. Rollers. So the Rollers in there, a real tough division there between Peaceful Warriors, the Rollers, and Redonkulous. So those are your divisions. The Tenenbaum division, Hugo Stiglitz, Dances with Baby, Yeti, and the Mofos. Bottle Rocket division, the Goods, Fire Spitting Jimmies, Lunches for Wimps, Dr. Dick. And Darjeeling is the Rollers, Peaceful Warriors, Redonkulous, and of course Mason Keith Colby. So that should do it here. Our first podcast is a wrap. Hopefully we'll have an update for you on the status of Bud. But until then, enjoy the draft, and we will catch up with you week 1 here for a review of the draft and talk about the matchups to come and the teams that have been assembled. Thank you, and have a great night.